1 week later, Taemin stood backstage at Seoul Olympic Stadium and wondered if he could still run away. Through the curtains, he could hear thousands of voices, maybe tens of thousands. The stadium was full of people who wanted to see him. "Stop fidgeting with your tie," his sister Yoonji said, reaching up to straighten it for him. "You look fine." "I look terrified," Taemin corrected. "Because I am terrified." "You faced men with knives," Yoonji reminded him. "You can face a crowd." "The knives were easier," Taemin muttered. Dr. Hyunsoo laughed from where he sat nearby. "The universe's most reluctant hero. They should put that on your statue." "There better not be a statue," Taemin said quickly. Hana walked over with a tablet. "You need to see this. The ceremony is being broadcast to 147 planets. This is the most watched event in galactic history." Taemin sat down heavily. "That doesn't make me feel better." "It should," Commander Ral Torren said, entering the room in full ceremonial armor. "What you did is captured the imagination of the galaxy. For years, humans were seen as primitive and violent. You showed them something different. You showed them human compassion." "I just helped a kid," Taemin said for what felt like the 100th time. "Exactly," Ral Torren replied. "That is what makes it powerful." The ceremony began precisely at noon. Taemin walked onto the stage, blinking in the bright sunlight. The stadium erupted in applause. He saw humans and aliens mixed throughout the crowd. Some aliens he recognized from news broadcasts. Members of other species who lived on Earth now. Others were completely unfamiliar. Supreme Guardian Vei Torren stood at the center of the stage. Little Lyra Kai stood beside her father, wearing a beautiful ceremonial dress. When she saw Taemin, she waved excitedly. Despite his nerves, Taemin smiled and waved back. "We gather today to honor courage," Vei Torren announced, his voice amplified across the stadium. "To honor sacrifice. To honor the kind of goodness that needs no reward, expects no recognition, and asks for nothing in return." He gestured to Taemin. Kang Taemin is a nurse. He helps people for a living. On a rainy night 3 weeks ago, he saw a child in danger and did not hesitate. He did not stop to think about the cost. He did not consider his own safety. He simply acted. The Supreme Guardian held up his hand. In it was a small crystal object that caught the light and threw rainbow colors across the stage. The Mark of 8 is the highest honor the Vaynar can bestow. In 8,000 years, it has been awarded only 23 times. Today, Kang Taemin becomes the 24th recipient and the first human ever to receive this honor. Taemin stepped forward as instructed. Vei Torren placed the crystal against Taemin's chest. It felt warm and seemed to sink into his skin. When the Supreme Guardian removed his hand, the crystal was gone. But Taemin could feel something there. A gentle warmth over his heart. "You are now marked," Vei Torren said. "You are family to the Vaynar. You are protector of the innocent. You are proof that heroism needs no superpowers, no special training, and no grand destiny. It needs only a good heart and the courage to act." The crowd cheered. Taemin felt his face grow hot with embarrassment. "There is more," Vei Torren continued. "By ancient tradition, when one receives the Mark of 8, they are offered a guardian unit. 8 warriors who pledge themselves to the honored one's protection." Taemin's eyes went wide. "That's not necessary," he said quickly. "It is tradition," Vei Torren replied firmly. "And 8 of our finest have volunteered." From the side of the stage, 8 Vaynar warriors marched forward. They moved in perfect formation, their armor gleaming. When they reached Taemin, they formed a circle around him. The warrior at the front removed her helmet. She had sharp features and eyes that seemed to see everything. "I am Rila Sen, tactical commander of the Vaynar Elite Guard. We have volunteered to serve as your protectors." "I don't need protection," Taemin protested. "I'm nobody important." "You are important to us," Rila Sen said. She drew a small blade from her belt. Before Taemin could react, she cut her own palm. Blue blood welled up from the wound. "The first wound for your shoulder." The other 7 warriors did the same, each one cutting their palm and naming one of Taemin's 8 stab wounds. Blue blood dripped onto the stage. "We bind ourselves to you," Rila Sen said. "Where you walk, we follow. Your enemies are ours. Your life is worth 8 of ours. This is our oath." "This is insane," Taemin said weakly. "You can't just follow me around forever. I work at a hospital. I live in a small apartment. I eat instant noodles for dinner half the time. Then we will learn about hospitals, small apartments, and instant noodles," Rila Sen replied with a slight smile. The ceremony continued. Dignitaries from various alien species came forward to speak about what Timon's actions meant to them. A representative from the Kelren Unity said humans had proven they could see beyond their own species. An ambassador from the Thalen Collective called it a turning point in Earth's integration into the galactic community. Through it all, Timon stood on the stage feeling like he was in a strange dream. This was too much, too big. He was just a nurse who had helped a scared child. Why did everyone care so much? Finally, it was Timon's turn to speak. He approached the microphone with shaking hands. The crowd grew quiet. I don't know what to say, he began honestly. Everyone keeps calling me a hero, but I don't feel like one. I feel like someone who did the bare minimum of human decency. He paused, gathering his thoughts. When I saw Lyrakai in that alley, I didn't think about galactic relations or Earth's future or any of that. I just saw a kid who was terrified. And I couldn't walk away. I couldn't ignore that. My mother taught me something when I was young, Taemin continued. She said that the measure of a person isn't what they do when people are watching. It's what they do when nobody is watching, when there's no reward, no recognition, no guarantee anyone will ever know. He looked at Lyrakai, who was watching him with bright eyes. I helped Lyrakai because it was right. Not because she's royalty, not because I wanted this. He gestured at the crowd and the ceremony, just because she needed help. If this makes me special, then the bar is too low, Taemin said. Every person should be willing to help a child in danger. Every person should care about protecting the innocent. That shouldn't be heroic. That should be normal. The stadium was silent for a moment. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Soon the entire crowd was on their feet, applauding. Taemin stepped back from the microphone, relieved to be done. Lyrakai ran over and hugged his legs. That was perfect, she said. I have no idea what I'm doing, Taemin admitted. None of us do, Vaetorin said, approaching them. But you do it with honor. That is what matters. After the ceremony, Taemin sat in a quiet room backstage with his new guards. 8 7-foot-tall alien warriors were now his responsibility, apparently. So what happens now? He asked Rilasin. We accompany you, she said. We learn your routines, your life, your needs. We protect you from threats. I work 12-hour shifts at a hospital, Taemin said. I take the subway. I buy groceries. It's boring. We will adapt, Rilasin assured him. Can you fit on the subway? Taemin asked, looking at their height. The 8 warriors looked at each other uncertainly. We will find a way, Rilasin said. Though she did not sound confident, Yunji poked her head into the room. The reporters want photos. Also, Mom is outside and she's crying. Good crying, but still crying. Taemin sighed. His quiet life was definitely over. But when he looked at his 8 guards who had voluntarily cut themselves to bind their lives to his, and thought about little Lyrakai who was safe because he had acted, he decided maybe that was okay. Some changes were worth it. Some responsibilities were worth accepting. And if having 8 alien warriors try to fit on the Seoul subway was the price of doing the right thing, then that was a price Taemin could live with. Even if it was going to be very, very strange. 2 weeks after the attack, Taemin stood in a room that should not exist. He was inside a Vaynar ship, somewhere in orbit above Earth. The walls glowed with soft light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Through massive windows he could see his planet floating in the darkness of space, beautiful and blue. Commander Raltorin stood beside him, along with Nurse Hana and Dr. Hyun-soo. The hospital director had given them permission to come when the Vaynar requested it. Taemin was glad to have his friends with him. This was all too strange to face alone. The Supreme Guardian will see you now, a Vaynar attendant said, bowing slightly. They followed the attendant through corridors that looked like they were carved from crystal. Other Vaynar passed them, all tall and imposing in their shifting armor. Some nodded respectfully at Taemin. He felt very small and very human in this place. The doors to the meeting chamber opened silently. The room beyond was enormous. At the far end, sitting on what could only be called a throne, was the largest Vaynar Taemin had seen yet. Supreme Guardian Vaetorin stood at least 8 feet tall. His armor was darker than the others, like the night sky filled with stars. Scars marked his face and hands, telling stories of countless battles. Taemin felt his knees go weak. This being radiated power, this was someone who commanded entire fleets, who had fought in wars Taemin could not imagine. And he was the father of the child Taemin had saved. Kang Taemin, Vaetorin said. His voice was like thunder, deep and commanding. Approach. Taemin walked forward. His legs felt shaky, but he kept his back straight. Beside him, Hana and Hyun-soo looked just as nervous. When they reached the center of the room, Taemin was not sure if he should bow or kneel or what. He settled for a respectful nod. "I am told you risked your life for my daughter," Vaetorin said. He did not sound warm or grateful. He sounded like he was stating a fact. "I helped a child who was in danger," Taemin replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "Any decent person would have done the same." "No," Vaetorin said flatly. "Most would not. The security footage showed 7 other humans who passed that alley. 6 of them walked by without stopping. You were the only one who intervened." Taemin had not known that. The knowledge made him sad. How could people ignore a child crying for help? "My daughter disobeyed her escorts," Vaetorin continued. "She wanted to see Earth children playing in the rain. On our homeworld, we live in controlled environment domes. We do not have rain. She thought it would be beautiful." The Supreme Guardian's expression hardened. Her curiosity nearly caused her death. "She's a child," Taemin said quietly. "Children are curious. They want to explore. You can't blame her for that." Something flickered in Vaetorin's golden eyes. "You defend her?" "Of course," Taemin said. "She did nothing wrong. The men who attacked her, they're the ones to blame, not her." Before Vaetorin could respond, a door at the side of the chamber burst open. A small blue figure ran into the room, her feet pattering on the smooth floor. "Papa," Lyrakai called out. "Is he here?" "Is the kind human here?" She stopped when she saw Taemin. For a moment, they just stared at each other. She looked healthier than that night in the rain. Her blue skin glowed brightly. She wore a small version of Vanar armor, decorated with silver patterns, but her eyes were the same, large and expressive. "You're alive," she whispered in Korean. Her voice cracked with emotion. Then she ran to him. Taemin knelt down just in time to catch her as she threw her arms around his neck. She was crying, her small body shaking with sobs. "I thought you died," she said into his shoulder. "There was so much blood. I tried to help, but I didn't know how. I'm only 7. I don't know healing yet. I tried, but I wasn't good enough." "You saved my life," Taemin said gently, hugging her back. "The doctor said your medicine is the only reason I survived. You were very brave to come back." "You smiled at me," Lyrakai said, pulling back to look at his face. Her large eyes were wet with tears. "Even when you were hurt so badly, you smiled and told me to run. You didn't even know me. Why did you help me?" "Because you needed help," Taemin said simply. "Because you were scared and in danger. That's enough reason." Lyrakai hugged him again, tighter this time. Over her head, Taemin looked up at Vaetorin. The Supreme Guardian was staring at them with an expression Taemin could not read. The mighty warrior's hands were clenched at his sides. Then, slowly, Vaetorin stood. He walked down from his throne and approached them. Taemin instinctively held Lyrakai closer, though he knew it was foolish. This being could crush him without effort. Vaetorin knelt down. At this height, he was eye level with Taemin. The Supreme Guardian reached up and removed the crest from his armor, a symbol of his rank and authority. Then he bowed his head. The entire room went silent. Commander Ral Torin made a sound of shock. Other Vanar who had been standing guard gasped. "In 8,000 years of our history," Vaetorin said, his voice rough with emotion, "no outsider has ever protected Vanar young. You did not know she was royalty. You did not know if help would come. You did not even know if she was worth saving to your people." He raised his head and his golden eyes were bright. "You simply saw a child in danger and became her shield." Papa cried when he watched the recording, Lyrakai said softly. "I've never seen Papa cry before." Vaetorin did not deny it. "I watched you take 8 wounds. I watched you fall and still tell her to run. I watched you smile at her even as you were dying." He placed his large hand over his heart. "This is honor beyond measure. This is love for the innocent that transcends species. This is what all warriors should aspire to be and what few achieve." "I'm not a warrior," Taemin said. "I'm just a nurse." "You are more than you know," Vaetorin replied. "My daughter tells me you could feel your determination to save her even as your life faded. She says your last thought was relief that she escaped. Is this true?" Taemin thought back to that moment in the alley, lying in the rain. "Yes," he said. "I was glad she got away. That made it worth it." Vaetorin stood and turned to face the other Vanar in the room. "Let it be known across the fleet. Kang Taemin of Earth shed blood 8 times for Heir Lyrakai. He is to be honored as a protector of our young. He is to be treated as family. He turned back to Taimin. You have given me back my daughter. There is no greater gift. Ask anything of me, and if it is within my power, it shall be yours. Taimin thought about it. He could ask for money or technology or fame. But he looked down at Lyrakai, who was holding his hand and smiling up at him with complete trust. I only ask that Lyrakai be kept safe, Taimin said, and that she gets to be a child. Let her see the rain. Let her play. Life is short, even for your people. She should get to enjoy it. Vaetorin stared at him for a long moment. Then, incredibly, the fearsome Supreme Guardian smiled. You truly are remarkable. Very well. She will have more freedom, with better protection, and she will have you if you are willing. Me? Taimin asked. Lyrakai speaks of you constantly, Vaetorin said. She wishes to learn about Earth and humans. I think having a human friend would be good for her. If you are willing, you may visit her and she may visit you. With proper guards, of course. Lyrakai looked up at Taimin with hope shining in her eyes. Really, can we be friends? Of course we can, Taimin said, squeezing her hand gently. The little alien girl beamed at him. And despite everything, all the strangeness and the pain and the fear, Taimin smiled back. He had saved a life. He had made a friend. And he had shown at least one alien species that humans could be kind. That seemed like a pretty good outcome for a rainy night in Seoul. Taimin opened his eyes to bright white lights. He blinked several times, trying to understand where he was. His body felt heavy, like someone had filled his bones with sand. Every small breath brought a dull ache to his chest. He's awake, a familiar voice called out. Taimin turned his head slowly. The movement made everything hurt. He was in a hospital room. His hospital. He recognized the pale green walls and the smell of antiseptic. A monitor beeped steadily beside his bed. Dr. Park Hyun-soo rushed to his side. His friend's face showed relief mixed with worry. Taimin, can you hear me? Do you know where you are? Hospital, Taimin whispered. His throat felt like sandpaper. What happened? You tell me, Hyun-soo said, pulling up a chair. A woman found you in an alley 3 days ago. You were stabbed 8 times. 8 times, Taimin. You should be dead. The memories came flooding back. The rain, the alien child, the men with knives. Taimin tried to sit up, but pain shot through his body. The child, he said urgently. The blue child. Is she safe? Hyun-soo looked at him strangely. So it's true. The police said there were witness reports of an alien in the area, but they weren't sure. He paused. You saved an alien child? I saved a child, Taimin corrected. She was scared. They were going to kill her. The door opened and Nurse Choi Hana walked in carrying a medical chart. She had worked with Taimin for 2 years. She was good at her job and always kind to patients. When she saw Taimin awake, her eyes went wide. You're finally conscious, she said, moving to check his vital signs. We were starting to worry you might sleep for a week. 3 days? Taimin asked. 3 days, Hana confirmed. And your recovery is unusual. She exchanged a look with Hyun-soo. Taimin, one of those stab wounds went through your lung. You should have drowned in your own blood. But when you arrived, the wound was already starting to close. We found something in your injuries. Something that doesn't exist on Earth. What do you mean? Taimin asked. Hyun-soo leaned forward. There was a blue gel-like substance in your wounds. It was working like advanced medicine, sealing the damage from the inside. Our lab has never seen anything like it. It's alien, Taimin. That child you saved must have tried to help you before it ran away. Taimin closed his eyes. The little blue child had come back? Even though it was dangerous, even though those men might have still been nearby, it had come back to help him. His chest tightened, but not from pain. She saved my life, he whispered. You saved each other, Hana said softly. For the next 2 days, Taimin focused on recovering. His sister Yoonji visited every day after her university classes. She cried the first time she saw him, then scolded him for being so reckless, then cried again. Their mother came too, holding his hand and not saying much. She did not need to. Her presence was enough. On the 5th day, they moved Taimin to a private room. The hospital director said it was for his privacy, since news reporters wanted to interview him. Taimin did not want to talk to reporters. He just wanted to rest. That night, something impossible happened. Taimin was lying in bed watching the news on the small television when the air in his room began to shimmer. It looked like heat waves rising from hot pavement in summer. Then 6 figures appeared out of nowhere. They were tall, Very tall, at least 7 feet, maybe more. They wore armor that seemed to be made of crystal, but it moved like cloth. The armor shifted colors constantly, flowing from deep purple to bright silver to ocean blue. Each figure carried weapons that looked like they came from a science fiction movie. Taemin's heart raced. He wanted to call for help, but his voice would not work. He was frozen in his bed, staring at these alien beings who had just materialized in his hospital room. The largest figure stepped forward. It reached up and removed its helmet. Beneath the armor was a face that was almost human, but not quite. The features were sharper, more angular. The eyes were larger and colored like molten gold. The skin had a faint silver sheen to it. Kang Taemin, the being said in perfect Korean. The voice was deep and resonant. Do not be afraid. We mean you no harm? Who are you? Taemin managed to ask. I am Commander Raltorin of the Vayner Ascendancy, the being said. We are peacekeepers of the galactic community, and we have come because you saved the life of someone very precious to us. Another figure stepped forward and removed its helmet. This one was slightly smaller, with features that seemed more feminine. 5 days ago, you protected Crown Heir Lyrikai from assassination. You put your body between her and her attackers. You took 8 wounds that should have killed you. Crown Heir? Taemin repeated. She's royalty? She is the daughter of Supreme Guardian Vaytorin, Commander Raltorin said. She is the future leader of our people. She had slipped away from her diplomatic escort to explore your city. It was foolish, but she is young and curious. Those men would have killed her to create an interstellar incident. Taemin's mind spun. The little blue child was alien royalty. He had not known. He had just seen a scared child who needed help. We have reviewed the security footage from nearby buildings, Raltorin continued. We saw everything. You did not hesitate. You did not run. You saw danger and you moved toward it. You saw a child of another species and you chose to protect her with your life. I'm a nurse, Taemin said simply. We help people who are hurt. It doesn't matter who they are. The 6 Vaynar warriors looked at each other. Something passed between them, some unspoken communication. Kang Taemin, Raltorin said slowly. In 8,000 years of Vaynar history, no outsider has ever shed blood to protect our young. You did not know who she was. You did not know if help would come. You simply acted because it was right. The commander placed his fist over his heart in what looked like a salute. The other 5 warriors did the same. We have come to pay our respects, Raltorin said, and to offer our gratitude. Because of you, the heir lives. Because of you, war was prevented. Because of you, we see humanity in a new light. Taemin did not know what to say. He had not done anything special. He had just done what anyone should do. Protect a child. Keep someone safe. These were basic things, weren't they? There is more, Raltorin said. Supreme Guardian Vaytorin wishes to meet you. He wishes to thank the human who bled 8 times for his daughter. Will you come with us when you are healed? Taemin looked at these towering alien warriors standing in his small hospital room. He thought about the little blue child who had been so scared. He thought about how she had come back to try to save him, even though it put her in danger. Yes, he said. I'll come. Commander Raltorin smiled. It was a surprisingly warm expression on his angular alien face. Good. Rest now, Kang Taemin. Heal, and know that you have friends among the stars. The 6 warriors shimmered and disappeared, leaving Taemin alone in his room once again. For a long moment he wondered if he had dreamed the whole thing, but then he saw a small device sitting on his bedside table that had not been there before. It glowed softly with blue light. Taemin lay back on his pillow and stared at the ceiling. His quiet life as a nurse had just become very complicated, but when he closed his eyes, he saw those big, scared eyes looking up at him in the rain. He saw a child who just wanted to go home. He had made the right choice. Whatever happened next, he could live with that. The rain fell hard on the streets of Seoul. Kang Taemin pulled his jacket closer as he walked home from the hospital. His shoes splashed through puddles on the empty sidewalk. It was 2 a.m. and most people were asleep in their beds. Taemin was tired. He had just finished a 12-hour shift at Seoul General Hospital. As an emergency room nurse, he had seen 5 patients with broken bones, 2 car accident victims, and 1 elderly woman with breathing problems. His feet hurt and he wanted nothing more than to go home and sleep. The streets of Gangnam were quiet at this hour. Only a few cars passed by, their headlights cutting through the rain. Taemin thought about the leftover rice and kimchi waiting in his refrigerator. His sister Yoonji had made it 3 days ago. She was a good cook, much better than him. As he turned down a side street, he heard something strange. It was a high-pitched sound like a child crying. Taemin stopped walking. The sound came from a dark alley between two buildings. He should keep walking. He should go home. But something made him turn toward the alley. 3 men stood in the shadows. They wore dark hoodies that covered their faces. They surrounded something small that glowed with a soft blue light. Taemin stepped closer and his breath caught in his throat. A child stood in the center of the circle. But this was not a human child. Its skin glowed blue like the ocean under moonlight. It was small, maybe 4 feet tall, with large eyes that reflected the light from the street. The child held something in its hands that looked like a broken phone, sparking and smoking. "Please," the child said in Korean, its voice shaking with fear. "I just want to go home." One of the men laughed. It was a cold sound. "Alien trash," he spat. "You don't belong here." "None of you do." The man raised his hand. Taemin saw the knife gleaming in the dim light. His body moved before his mind could think. He ran into the alley. "Stop!" Taemin shouted. "Leave the child alone." The 3 men turned to look at him. For a moment, nobody moved. Rain poured down around them, drumming on the pavement. "Walk away," one man said. "This doesn't concern you." "That's a child," Taemin said. His heart pounded in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. "I won't let you hurt a child." The man with the knife smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Then you're a traitor to your own kind." Everything happened fast. The first man rushed at Taemin with the knife. Taemin tried to dodge, but he was not a fighter. He was a nurse. The blade caught him in the shoulder. Pain exploded through his body like fire. Taemin stumbled but did not fall. He moved between the men and the alien child. "Run!" he shouted to the child. "Get away from here!" The second knife hit him in the back. Then another in his side. Taemin fell to his knees. His vision blurred. He could taste blood in his mouth. Through the pain, he saw the child hesitate. "Run!" Taemin said again, weaker this time. The child ran. Its small feet splashed through puddles as it disappeared into the darkness. Taemin felt relief wash over him. The child was safe. That was what mattered. The men kept stabbing. Once in his other shoulder, twice more in his back, another in his stomach. One went deep into his chest, and suddenly Taemin could not breathe properly. He counted 8 stabs total before the pain became too much to track. He fell forward onto the wet pavement. The rain felt cold against his face. Blood spread out around him, mixing with the water, turning the puddles red. "Stupid hero," one man said. "You died for nothing." For an alien. The 3 men ran away. Their footsteps faded into the night. Taemin lay alone in the alley. His body felt heavy and cold. He tried to move his fingers but could not. His chest hurt with every tiny breath. He thought about his mother, Lee Sunmi, who worked so hard at the factory to raise him and Yoonji. He thought about his sister, who would be sad. He thought about his friend Dr. Park Hyun-soo at the hospital, who always made jokes during the night shift. But mostly, he thought about the alien child. Those big scared eyes, the way it had tried to speak Korean. It was just a child who wanted to go home. Taemin had done the right thing. Even if it cost him everything. His eyes started to close. The rain kept falling. Somewhere far away, he heard footsteps running toward him. A woman's voice screamed. She was calling for help, shouting into a phone. "Please hurry," the woman cried. "There's so much blood." "He's not breathing right." Taemin wanted to tell her it was okay. He wanted to tell her about the child he had saved. But his mouth would not work. Darkness crept in from the edges of his vision. The last thing he saw before everything went black was a small blue figure standing at the end of the alley. The alien child had come back. It held out its small hands toward him. Blue light flowed from its palms like water, reaching toward his broken body. Then Taemin saw nothing at all. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed. The rain washed the blood from the stones. And in a dark alley in Seoul, a man who chose kindness over fear lay dying while an alien child tried desperately to save the life of the stranger who had saved hers. The night did not care about heroes or villains. The rain fell on everyone the same. But in that moment, one ordinary nurse had done something extraordinary. He had seen a child in danger and become a shield. He had counted the cost and paid it willingly. 8 wounds for 1 life. 8 stabs for 1 child's chance to run away. In the cold mathematics of violence, it seemed like a poor trade. But Kang Taemin, unconscious and bleeding out on the pavement, would have made the same choice again. Some things were worth bleeding for. Some things were worth dying for. And a child's life, any child's life, was one of them. 3 months passed. Life became strange in ways Taman had never imagined. He returned to work at Seoul General Hospital, but now he arrived with 8 7-foot alien bodyguards. Patients stared. Nurses whispered. Children pointed and waved. Rila-sen and her unit tried their best to blend in. They wore human clothes, though finding shirts that fit their height was difficult. They learned to take the subway, though they had to stand hunched over to fit. They even attempted to eat Korean food, which led to some interesting reactions to kimchi. "It burns," one guard named Torenval said, tears streaming from his eyes as he tried his first bite. "That means it's good," Taemin's friend Hyun-soo explained. Grinning, life settled into a new routine. But not everyone was happy about Taemin's fame or Earth's growing acceptance by alien species. The xenophobic group that had attacked Lyrikai was still active. They saw Taemin as a traitor to humanity. The first assassination attempt came on a Tuesday. Taemin was walking to work when a man ran at him with a knife. Rila-sen moved faster than human eyes could track, disarming the attacker and pinning him to the ground in seconds. "You side with aliens over your own kind," the man shouted at Taemin. "You're destroying humanity." "I saved a child," Taemin said calmly, though his heart pounded. "If that destroys humanity, then maybe we need to be destroyed." The attacker was taken away by police. It was not the last attempt. Over 3 months, there were 5 more. Each time, Taemin's guards stopped them easily. Each time, the attacks were recorded and shown to the Galactic Council as proof that some humans still resisted cooperation. Then came the invitation. The Galactic Council wanted Taemin to speak at the Integration Summit on a neutral space station called Kepler 442. The question he would address: what makes humanity worthy of joining the galactic community? "I can't answer that," Taemin told Commander Raltorin. "I'm not a politician or a philosopher. I'm a nurse." "That is precisely why you should speak," Raltorin replied. "You represent ordinary humanity at its best." "I don't want to go alone," Taemin said. "If I'm supposed to represent humanity, then I want to bring others too." So Taemin brought Unji, Hyunsoo, and Hana. "If they want to see humanity," he explained, "they should see all of us, not just me." The space station was massive, bigger than anything Taemin had ever seen. The summit chamber was a huge circular room with seats for representatives from 147 different species. Some looked almost human. Others were completely alien with features Taemin could not even describe. Taemin stood at the podium in the center. His 8 guards flanked him. His friends sat in the front row. Hundreds of alien eyes watched him, waiting to judge whether his entire species deserved to join their community. His mouth felt dry. His hands shook. He had never been more terrified in his life, including the night he was stabbed. "I prepared a speech," Taemin began, his voice amplified throughout the chamber, "but I'm going to throw it away." "You don't need fancy words. You need the truth." He took a breath. "Everyone keeps asking what makes humanity special. The answer is we're not special. We're flawed. We're violent. We have people who tried to kill me for helping a child. We have wars and poverty and injustice. We're still figuring out how to be decent to each other." Some aliens shifted in their seats. This was probably not what they expected. "But we're also capable of incredible kindness," Taemin continued. "Let me tell you about my mother, Lee Sunmi. She works at a factory. She raised 2 kids alone after my father left. Every week she packs extra food in her bag. On her way home she gives it to homeless people even though she barely has enough for herself. Let me tell you about my friend Dr. Park Hyun-soo," Taemin said, gesturing to the audience. "Every weekend he volunteers at free clinics in poor neighborhoods. He doesn't get paid. He does it because people need help. Let me tell you about Nurse Choi Hana. Last winter she saw a homeless man without shoes. She bought him new ones with her own money because she said winter was coming and he would freeze." Taemin paused, looking around the chamber. "I'm not special. On the night I helped Lyrikai, 7 other people walked past that alley. But one person stopped. An old woman named Grandmother Yu. She's the one who called for help. She saved my life. She could have stayed safe at home, but she didn't." "You want to know about humanity?" Taemin asked. "We have people who run into burning buildings to save strangers. We have teachers who spend their own money on supplies for poor students. We have children who share their lunch with classmates who have none. His voice grew stronger. I took 8 stab wounds for Lyrikai not because I'm heroic. I did it because millions of humans are raised to believe that protecting children, any children, is not optional. It's what decent people do. Yes, we have people who are cruel, Taemin admitted. Every species probably does. But most humans are just trying to do right by each other. Most humans, if they saw a child in danger, would help. Maybe not all of them. But enough. He looked directly at the council members. You're deciding if we're worthy to join you. But maybe the question should be different. Maybe you should ask, are we trying? Are we learning? Are we willing to be better? Because we are, Taemin said firmly. We're not perfect, but we're trying. And isn't that what matters? Not where we are now, but where we're going. The chamber was completely silent. Taemin's heart sank. Had he said the wrong thing? Had he ruined humanity's chances? Then Supreme Guardian Vaetorin stood. The massive warrior placed his fist over his heart. The Vanar salute of highest respect. He began to strike his chest in a slow, rhythmic pattern. Taemin's 8 guards joined him. Then Commander Raltorin. Then another alien species rose and began their own gesture of respect. Then another. And another. Within moments, the entire chamber was on their feet, showing approval in hundreds of different ways. Some struck their chests like the Vanar. Others made clicking sounds. Others glowed with bioluminescence. But the message was clear: respect. The vote came the next day. 142 species voted in favor of Earth's integration. Only 5 abstained. None voted against. Taemin sat in his quarters on the station, trying to process what had happened. His simple speech about ordinary people had convinced the galaxy that humanity deserved a chance. Little Lyrikai found him there. She climbed into the chair beside him. You were amazing, she said. I just told the truth, Taemin replied. That's what made it amazing, Lyrikai said wisely. She leaned against his arm. Taemin Oppa, I decided something. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor. A human doctor. Why a human doctor? Taemin asked. Because you showed me that healing is the greatest power, she said. Not fighting. Not commanding fleets, healing, helping people who hurt. That's what I want to do. Taemin felt his eyes sting with sudden tears. This little alien girl, this crown heir who would someday lead an entire species, wanted to be a doctor because of him. I think you'll be a great doctor, he said softly. 3 days later, Taemin returned to Earth. He went back to his apartment, back to his hospital, back to his normal life. Except it wasn't quite normal anymore. His 8 guards came with him, of course. And now aliens visited Earth more openly, without fear. Taemin still worked 12-hour shifts. He still took the subway. He still ate instant noodles sometimes. But now sometimes alien patients came to the emergency room, and Taemin helped them the same way he helped everyone else, because that was the point, wasn't it? It didn't matter if someone was human or alien. If they were hurt, they deserved help. If they were in danger, they deserved protection. If they were children, they deserved safety. These were simple ideas. Basic human decency. But sometimes, Taemin thought, the simplest ideas were the most powerful. He had bled 8 times for those ideas, and he would do it again.